This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post, brought to you by the Fort Hall School of Government, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 14th of April 2022, and I am Tuje.
I am Serbia.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, Rubis boss deported. In the Standard, brace for fuel price shocker. In the Star, Raila locks in Kalonzo as Azimio registered. And in the People Daily, why polls are a double-edged sword for RUTO. And I want to kick off. Yesterday, 2M told us that there's a growing silent majority. Those that are quietly supporting Raila, but afraid to do so as loudly as the Hustler Nation. And then JM told us about how Kikuyus, being savvy business people, would probably hedge their bets and vote for both RUTO and Raila. And with such a short time to the August 9th poll, it got me thinking about where the level of effort should be placed when looking for kura, for votes, in the mountain. Consider this from the animal kingdom. A lion is fully capable of capturing, killing, and eating a rat. But it turns out that the energy required to do so exceeds the caloric content of the rat itself. So a lion that spent its day hunting and eating rats would slowly starve to death. A lion can't live on rats. A lion needs antelope. Now, antelope are bigger animals, and they take more speed and strength to capture and kill. And once killed, they provide a feast for the lion and her pride. A lion can live a long and happy life on a diet of antelope. Now, this distinction is important for us if we apply it to politics. For instance, RUTO has spent a lot of time and resources wooing the mountain. But is RUTO spending all his time and exhausting all his energy catching rats? Given that we do not know how Kikuyus will behave on voting day, this is very plausible. Now, in the short term, the euphoria he feels at Central Kenya rallies might give RUTO a nice, rewarding, warm feeling. But in the long run, he cannot rely on Gema votes. If the nomination exercise was a litmus test, Kikuyus have gone mteja, they're missing, when he needed them the most. So RUTO should ask himself, did I spend today chasing rats or hunting an antelope? And for that matter, Raila should also apply the same framework and consider that Kikuyu might be like the rats. Do not expend too much energy for very little reward on ballot day. Instead, Raila should focus on his previous stronghold, the core base of the 44%. This is the antelope. Raila should focus his energy there for a better reward come August 9th, 2022.
Wow.
GK, I hope you have no Easter plans in Central Kenya after you just called them rats.
No, I said they were like rats.
There was a Russian physiologist called Ivan Pavlov, but history will remember him as a psychologist. All because of a dog, some food, and a bell. Pavlov showed that dogs could be conditioned to salivate at the sound of a bell if that sound was repeatedly presented at the same time that they were given food. First, the dogs were presented with the food, then they salivated. Then Pavlov started sounding the bell before giving the dogs food. After a few pairings, the dogs salivated when they heard the bell, even though no food was given. The dogs had learned to associate the bell with the food, and salivation was triggered by the sound of the bell. But why bring this up? How is Pavlovian conditioning relevant in our politics? Today, I submit that hustlers have now become like the Pavlovian dogs. What they don't know is that RUTO has spent a good 4 years fixing them. Like the dogs, RUTO has been conditioning hustlers bit by bit. He has done this by creating a false narrative hyped by trendy slogans like bottoms-up economics and empty political catchphrases like hatupangwingwi. Hustlers have been conditioned to believe that all misery comes from the dynasties and all salvation will come from William RUTO. Never mind that William RUTO himself has been in power for 10 years. RUTO told hustlers that ataunda serikali ya mama mboga na watu wa kiosk. But RUTO is lying. The Kenya Kwanza lineup just 2 days ago had 0 women in it. RUTO said nothing about that. And even when he chooses to be surrounded by women, why are all the women from Gema and not from another tribe? Last week, it was alleged that Susan Kehika was slapped in the corridors of Karen.
Yeah.
Ruto said nothing. In Kajiado, Peris Tobiko, even after inviting Ruto to her sitting room, is now crying foul after being asked to step down. Ruto said nothing. And when Ngereshe told us that she was body shamed in front of Ruto, Ruto once again said nothing. It's clear that UDA does not value women. How ironic that UDA is promising liberation when it cannot liberate its own women. Even Thomas Sankara once said, there is no true social revolution without the liberation of women.
Amen.
So, Mama Mbogas, if Ruto cannot guarantee the well-being of women within his camp, how is your well-being guaranteed in his government? The same question applies to the youth. Look at MC Jesse. A promising youth has now been left to go be a court jester in UDA's Bonoko Intelligence. In short, women and the youth are being shortchanged in UDA, yet hustlers are still clapping. But a far grander conditioning scheme is taking place.
Yeah.
The conditioning of a whole tribe. In Kiamba, Lee Kenyanjui told us that Ruto is busy implanting togeges, puppets in Gema, indoctrinated personally by him. This army of togeges in Gema will continue his work of conditioning the masses. Using the Pavlovian methods, Ruto is getting Kikuyus to salivate at wheelbarrows, but bark at expressways and 10,000 kilometers of new roads.
Imagine.
He is putting Kikuyus to sleep and doing the revolution alone. By the time Kikuyus wake up, Ruto will have taken his 60% of government, added it to the 40% that he promised Luyas, and become a 100% Toto man. This leaves Kikuyu completely out of government. The most disturbing part is that Kikuyus are blind to the legacy Uhuru is creating for them in the form of infrastructure, healthcare, and agricultural reforms. They would rather listen to the bell of Ruto's unrealistic promises and deluded visions of political grandeur. In Kikuyu we say, "Wote inya okinyerete inyanya." Kikuyus forget a bird in hand is worth two in Ruto's dreamland. But perhaps with UDA's shambolic nominations, the masses in Slumberland might finally awaken. We can only wait and see.
Wait, we shall. Togeges.
Kabisa.
And so what can we summarize about the UDA nominations process?
Yeah.
Because what we witnessed today was a shambolic, chaotic display. This little general election has opened up the cracks of UDA wide open for the country to see.
True.
But chaos isn't the only thing that caught my attention. I, like many others, was shocked at the levels of low voter turnout in central Kenya. So low that it makes you wonder if Gema has been taking William Ruto for a ride.
Right?
Because the reality is that this nomination process, as GK said, was a litmus test for the DP to gauge whether voters have resonated with the UDA message. On this, he failed bigly, and embarrassingly so, specifically in central Kenya. Today, Gema was asked to answer the question, which way?
Yeah.
And they answered, Nakuru deserted, Nyeri empty,
Yeah.
Murang'a and Laikipia zero interest. Gema is telling Ruto that they are not buying what he is selling. Then to add salt to his already growing wound, the same thing was witnessed in his own backyard. Emotional damage.
Kabisa.
So what are we to make of these events? Is it that Ruto miscalculated life without the state? Compare UDA turnout to Jubilee turnout in 2013 or 2017.
Yes.
Ruto was successful only because he had the deep state.
Correct.
Or is there a simpler interpretation? JM told us yesterday that Kikuyus will give their vote to both candidates as a form of political insurance. And maybe we're seeing the beginnings of that. Gema is aware that Ruto is organizing their politics down to the letter. How is it that Alice Wahome and Anne Waiguru won their UDA nominations completely uncontested? Meanwhile, others have been forced to step down. Ruto's involvement is so precise that he does not trust any Mount Kenya leader to handle nominations, that he even sent Murkomen to handle the matters in Embu.
Wow.
William Ruto can call it democracy by consensus all he wants. But Gema is waking up to the colonization of their politics through dominance. Today's nomination has kick-started the undoing of the Kalenjinization of Kikuyus.
Wow.
Take it to the bank.
Powerful stuff there. Guys, so we have a 3-part criteria that we normally use to break down the headlines. We ask ourselves, is it topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, thoughtful or just plain lazy? The one that caught my attention, Daily Nation, you know, we've been grappling with the fuel crisis, Rubus boss deported, quite, action-oriented. But I also like the People Daily. Why polls a double-edged sword for Ruto?
Yeah.
Food for thought there. Who should we give it to?
I quite like both of them.
Should we have a double win?
Why not? For Easter, let's be...
For Easter, there you have it.
The Daily Nation.
There you have it. So we'll go both ways. We'll have a
Alright.
Daily Nation and People Daily win. And I want to leave you with this. The joyful news that he has risen does not change the contemporary world. Still before us lie work, discipline, and sacrifice. But the fact of Easter gives us a spiritual power to do the work, accept the discipline, and make the sacrifice. And that was said by Henry Knox Sherrill. So, muwe na Pasaka njema. Have a lovely one. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us all on Twitter.
Yes.
Thank you.